can't tell if this is level or if my house is just crooked. It is what I call enrichment time in Sarah's enclosure day. I have to wait several hours for some proxy files to proxy file themselves in DaVinci Resolve so that I can edit a 3-hour video without it, you know, locking up my computer. So today, my plan is, while I wait for that to happen, I am going to start working on my Halloween costume for this year. I kind of want to reuse some things that I already have, which is why I have one of my thrifted dresses that I don't know why I bought it, because I'm not a dress person, but I think it's going to work really well for this.
Doesn't matter. There are only 4 rules you need to remember. Make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan.
My plan is to wear this with the black side facing out, so it's just a solid color, and then dye this in a gradient going from like a pumpkin-y orange down to black by the time it gets down to this tier down here, which I don't think should be too hard because this outer shell is 100% cotton, and it is lined, and it says that the lining is polyester, but it feels like high quality polyester, so I'm hoping that it will take dye in the same dye bath as well. If not, I might be cutting it out of the bottom of this and replacing it with someone else. So that's the plan. We're going to get all of our supplies today for sure, and hopefully get this dyed at least orange. I think my plan of attack is going to just be dyeing the full thing orange just to see how it's going to take the dye in general. And then I'll wash it and then dye again the different colors. And I think we're just gonna be dip dyeing it and hoping for the best. Of the items that I did pick up, I think I got all the dye I needed, starting with my RIT dye. The first one we're gonna go with is apricot. We're just gonna go straight orange for this first one. Followed by transitioning, I think we're gonna transition into this red. I'm gonna test this out on a piece of white fabric first to see if it works out well gradient-wise, but I'm pretty sure this one will be okay. It's more of a cool tone red. This one is racing red. From there, we are going to go into wine towards the very bottom. This is the same one that I used for the Renaissance Fair outfit that I recently made. And after that, the very bottom is going to be black. I got this kit because it came with both the black dye and the dye fixative, which I think at the very end of the dyeing process, to protect everything, I'm going to use the fixative. I don't know if I need it. I probably don't, but I figure it can't hurt, right? Moving on from there, I got the fabrics that I need, starting with this brown for the stems of my pumpkins. And then I'm still kind of on the fence about my oranges, but I think they'll all look really cute together. I didn't want to go with just a solid one, and I didn't want anything that was too Halloween-y specifically. I wanted to feel more fall, so I thought the hearts would be a cute addition to this. So those are my 3 pumpkin fabrics, followed by some interfacing, which is gonna stick fabric to fabric. Yeah, that's all it does. I also picked up some paintbrushes because I don't know where my other ones went to, and these were only 99 cents, and a new bottle of Mod Podge, because I put my old bottle somewhere that was a smart place to keep it, and now I don't know what happened to it. And then they were also selling these over-the-knee socks, which I thought might end up looking cute or like a disaster. So if I hate them, I'll use them for something else. Oh, but I got a second pair of socks, which I'm gonna have to model for you because they're already on my feet. They say 100% that witch, and I am obsessed with them. So if you want these, they're at Joann Fabrics. Okay, let's go dye some stuff. Okay, it's much later. I have the first color done. It took the dye really, really nicely. I'm really happy with it. It's definitely not as orange. I'd say that's closer to like a true orange. But I think it's pretty close, and I think it'll work okay. It looks a little bit different on camera than it does in person. In person, it looks a little more pinky. So I think what I will do is continue dyeing it, because I have to do the reds, the red, the wine, and then into the black for the skirt. It's not too far off from the colors that I'm going to be using for the pumpkins on the skirt, so I think we're okay. I think we're doing good. What do you think? Also, so far I haven't managed to dye my hands, which is great. But yeah, that's where we're at. So up next, we're using this one, Raisin Red. Here we go.
Moving on to creating my appliques, I measured the bottom of the skirt and determined that to fill it with enough pumpkins, I'd need 16 in total. I asked a friend to help me with drawing out a couple pumpkin designs I could repeat once those were printed off. I traced them onto my interfacing. I made sure each design was equally spread out amongst my different fabrics so I could mix and match sections later. I'm really happy with how this turned out, even though it made piecing them together later a little challenging because of some slight variations in how I cut the pieces. It turned out fine though, and after they were all pressed, I added burgundy edge stitching with my sewing machine. This was honestly the most challenging part for me, and I'm glad I spent most of this portion on a Discord call with friends who could cheer me on in the process while I grumbled in frustration. I absolutely love my vintage Bernina sewing machine. She's an amazing machine for general sewing and quilting, but this embroidery was challenging. I had to be careful about how fast I was going, or the space between stitches would suddenly get out of whack, and luckily I started in the back of the dress, so all of my major mistakes are behind me. See what I did there?
Welcome to my new lavish in-home studio, also known as my basement, which is also where I eat my dinners, at this table, which I will not be doing because it's currently covered by a massive tarp. So until further notice, my basement dining room has been taken over, which is unfortunate. I'm really gonna miss the spiders, you know? I'm gonna have to leave them a little something to remember me by. Hopefully one doesn't take up residence in this bag. It's been about a week, maybe a week and a half since I last worked on this, but crunch time is coming up. I got involved in a charity event, and that required a little bit more of my attention, as did a few other things that I've been helping out with. Let's get right to it. I think this is going to be large enough to be my pumpkin head base. These are literally all of the grocery bags that we've been saving up from our trips to the grocery store every time I forget to take my reusable ones, as well as some packing materials, and it's all in a shoe carnival bag. So my plan is, now that I have this thing all stuffed, I'm going to take one of these types of string. I'm gonna try and use this one so I can use it up. I think it's gonna be strong enough. I'm going to tie it around the bag in sort of a pumpkin-like fashion so I can get those ridges. After that, I'm going to put some tape over it to kind of seal this against the bag. I have found a ton of newspapers over at my aunt's house, and I have shredded them into roughly 1-inch strips. And I will begin applying them with my Mod Podge mixture, which is going to be Mod Podge Matte. I think it's supposed to be Matte. I'm not sure. There's a lot of M's and variations of the word matte in the name. I'm hoping this will be enough. I'm gonna water it down a little bit because I think if it's a little more watery, that might help. I don't know. I'm just kind of going for the consistency that I see in YouTube videos, and it appears that most folks water it down a little bit when doing stuff like this. So that's what I'm gonna do. I've never done this before, so if it turns out horribly, luckily there's a sale going on at Michael's for plastic pumpkins, and I'll just go buy one of those. No, I won't go buy one of those. I'll probably just remake it. But that is the plan. I'm going to switch over to the time lapse. So enjoy whatever length this time lapse is, and whatever music I put under it. Hopefully something festive. Okay, let's go.
This process was so much fun and also very messy, which is fine. I'm a messy crafter anyways. If I had to do it again though, I think I'd try using a beach ball for the base of the head rather than a garbage bag, and then just sculpt on top of that with foam clay. This turned out a lot more lumpy than I was expecting. Okay, it is now 2.5 hours later, and I got it covered as much as I possibly could with paper mache. I kind of got lost in the sauce of watching crafting YouTube videos, and you can hear my dog's tippy tappies above me. So hopefully I did enough. I'm going to let this dry so that I can flip it over and get further down. I'm kind of having trouble getting things to like stick on the underside just because of gravity. Yeah, so I'm gonna let this dry. Hopefully it'll be dry overnight. I'm gonna bring a fan down here and stick it on it to hopefully facilitate that. And in the meantime, I get to do the fun thing that I used to do in grade school of peeling glue off of my hands. So I'm gonna put this microphone down before I get a whole bunch of glue in it, and I will see you later. Probably when this is done. I don't know that I'll record again. We'll see. Here is the face that we have ended up with. It was Jake's suggestion to include the snaggletooth, which I think adds a lot of character to it. What should I name this pumpkin lady? I haven't decided that yet. But as you can see, I've bulked her out a little bit and sort of defined her pumpkin-y shape a little bit more. It's a little flat on this side. I think that just is what it is, I think, for this build. I might go back at a later date and fix this, but I am low on craft foam and also on time. I have to have this ready to go tomorrow. Our event starts tomorrow night at 4 o'clock. So tonight, the game plan is to get this sanded down, get a couple coats of paint on it, and just get it ready to go. I ended up using foam from, where is it? From Amazon. I hadn't used this brand before. It's Pixis foam clay. It comes in this little tub. This was the largest size that they sold. And I'm honestly really happy with how it turned out. I've used foam clay from Michaels before, but this one was a little bit easier to work with. And the thing that kind of surprised me about it is how smooth of a finish it ended up giving me in the end. There are obviously like some seams that I have to sand down, some lumps and bumps here and there that just weren't avoidable, but overall, the way that this dried is significantly smoother compared to how it applied. So I'm really pleased with how it's turned out, and I'm just gonna try and not let this slightly flat side get to me. You know, maybe that's the side that my pumpkin head grew on. That's the side that was on the ground, and that's why it's flat. Look, you can't have everything in life. Sometimes you just end up with a noggin that's a little bit flat. But anyways, this is what she's gotten done. When I went through and took out the paper from the inside, I was a little bit concerned before putting the foam on about the stability of the paper mache structure. So I did go in with strips of Warbler, and around the mouth area and the eyes and the nose, I did go in and reinforce all of those edges, wrapping a thin strip of Warbler around them to kind of seal that edge of the paper mache in. As well as I went behind the face and I added in strips of Warbler. The tooth, I went in and on the front and the back of the tooth, I added Warbler to it just to make sure that it was really nice and sturdy. That way, if I bump into anything or it gets jumbled around in the car a little bit, that tooth's not likely to break off.
I kind of created this little circle here of foam. So that's actually what's going to hold it in place on my head. And I put some foam padding at the top so that when it's resting on the top of my head, it won't be uncomfortable and hopefully a little more stable. That ring fits pretty snugly on my head, so I think that it should be fine for my intended purposes. And yeah, that's what I've got. This is my pumpkin head so far. So we're gonna go into video montage mode, and the next thing you see after that is probably gonna be the reveal. So I'll see you in the ending.
I'm not gonna lie, I was still very unsure at this point if this was even going to look good. I was right down to the wire to sand and paint this head. I mixed some old white, beige, and gray paint that I had lying around, which gave me just enough to do 2 layers and seal the foam before moving on to the 2 coats of orange acrylic. If you haven't worked with foam before, it kind of sucks up the first layer of paint that you put on it because it's so porous. So you have to do 2 layers to seal it. And once that was done, I put the orange on. I also molded a stem out of clay and tinfoil, but by the time I got to that, I only had a few hours left, and I didn't film any of the process. But this video is already too long, so instead of fretting over lost footage, let's move on to the reveal, shall we? All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. This is, you know what? This is probably really echoey. 1 second. Just kind of stinks in there still. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope you had fun. I had a lot of fun making this. It was a challenge, and I would like to do another foam clay project real soon. Thank you again, WizKids, for sending your pre-production prototype Gourd Leshy. That inspired this costume. That was really cool and unexpected, and I don't know, this just turned out to be really neat. If you have any questions about the build, let me know down below, and if you are the bug that's currently biting my arm, I hate you, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.